Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to use Excel and some features in Excel to organize and better sort some of this data. Okay, so I've got some data here, and these are building permits, I believe, in Pittsburgh. But what I want to work on first are organizing them by address. So you can see each of these permits was pulled for a particular structure. And there's several there at Winesap Drive. There's a couple more down on Winesap Drive where they're doing a lot of building. So I would like to group these pieces of information by street. But of course, the address, the house number, is kind of getting in the way. So I'm going to do this in a couple ways. I'm going to create a couple new columns to work with. So from owner here, I'm going to go ahead and select two columns to the right of my address column. Just do a right click and insert, and that's going to give me two new columns. And I'm going to change this out to or create column headers for house number and street name. So in the past, I probably would have done a little bit of some text functions. I would have looked for the space after the number and then separated it that way. But there's another way we can do this too. So especially in Excel 2013. So I'm going to manage my very first street address, 910 Freeport Road. So for house number, I'll certainly write 910, press my tab key, and then I will write Freeport Road for the second part. Now once I've got that, I'll click on the cell that contains my new house number. I'm going to head over to the data ribbon, and I'm going to use Flash Fill. I'll click on Flash Fill. Please double check the flash results. We'll encounter some input. We'll click OK. And you'll see that it continues on with the pattern that I've described. So Excel is pretty smart now. It says, hey, you know what? You just wrote 910. I see that in the cell next to it. You were just pulling the first three numbers to the space, or maybe not just the first three numbers, the numbers to the space, and it continued that process for me. And then I'll do something similar. I'll click on Freeport Road where I wrote the street name for the first address. I'm still in my data ribbon. I'll click Flash Fill, and it continues all of that for me. Now that I have the street names as independent pieces of data, pretty easy. From my home ribbon or data ribbon there, I can sort A to Z, and so now I can sort by the actual street. And of course, if I wanted to, I could do a multi-level sort. Where's that Winesap Road or Winesap Drive? Then I could also do a multi-sort by the house number too if I needed to have these in order. So that's a pretty cool feature in Excel 2013. Flash Fill under the data ribbon. So now that I have this data a little bit organized, I can also use filters. So I can click on basically any piece of data in this table of data, and let me just zoom out just so you can kind of get an overview of all this. It's a large table of data. So I can click on any particular cell, doesn't really matter, and from the home ribbon I can do this over on sort and filter, and then I can just apply a filter. And Excel will put these little drop-down menus next to each column header. Excel's pretty smart. It knew that the first row of all of my data were column labels. And then I can head over to something like street name, and instead of looking at all street names, I can uncheck the select all, and then I can go find the aforementioned Winesap Drive, check that one only, click OK. So now I'm only looking at permits for houses on Winesap Drive. So once a filter is applied, you'll notice that my icon's a little bit different. There's a filter and a drop down. So in theory, I could also apply multiple filters. I could then go through and look at, okay, different days or something like that. All of these are done on the same day, so no big deal there. And when I'm ready, I can just click on that drop down, either go back to select all, or I can choose different addresses to find out, okay, what was going on in those. I'm going to go ahead and select all and click OK. So you can sort and then you can filter. Filter obviously limiting some of your results. Now I'm going to kind of clean up a little bit of this data. Now that I have my house number and street name columns, I don't want that address column anymore. I don't think I'll get rid of it though. Instead, I'll right click on the column letter and I'm going to choose Hide. I will hide that column from view. I can still access it when I need to. I can still reference it, by the way, in a formula, but it's just not cluttering up my screen. If I need to get a hidden column back, I can select the two columns surrounding a hidden column, right-click, and unhide. So right click on a column, or select the column, right click the column heading, and choose hide, and then select a group of columns to unhide. What I want to do next is I'm going to put a freeze pane on here, so when I scroll I can always see my column headings. I'm going to click right there on cell A2. I'll head over to View, Freeze Panes, and then Freeze Panes. And it's going to freeze to the left of the cell marker and above the cell marker. Since my cell marker is on A2, it's going to freeze the first row of data, basically row 1. So I will freeze panes, and now as I scroll down, my column labels in row 1 are always visible. So now my data is much easier to read through and scroll through, and especially if I wanted to put totals at the very bottom.